Hello, this is Andrea Kenyon, and I'm recording a lesson about translating and word problems. So as you can see, there's words on the screen, and they all mean something mathematical. They all mean to do something mathematical. We're going to go to the next slide. So here we've dragged the words onto the sticky note of the words that what they mean. So difference is a word for subtraction. Less is a word for subtraction. And we've left these two off because they just mean to be equal to. We use an equal sign. So when we're translating, we read the sentence and then we turn it into either an equation or an expression. So in this particular problem, we're saying the sum, so that means plus, the sum of what? Of twice a number, so 2 times a number and 7. 2 times a number and 7. It doesn't tell us what that is, so this is just an expression. 4 less, so when you see 4 less, you know minus 4. You're subtracting 4 from something. What are we subtracting it from? From 4 less than a number times 5. So even though it says number times 5, we usually put the variable after the coefficient. So we have 5n. I'm using the variable n because x can sometimes look like multiplication. And in this video, I want to be very clear about what the variable is. 6 times the sum of 2 times a number and 8. Well, when I see sum, I know I'm adding something. So the sum of 2 times a number and 8. But I've got to do 6 times all of that. So I add parentheses and I multiply times 6. And that's it. And we'll go to our next slide. Okay, so the order that something is written in, it is important. 2 more than 3 times a number is 14. So take a look at these two possibilities. We have A and we have B, and I want you to think about what would be the correct way to translate that. When I had this in class, I had all the students put a tally mark under which they thought was true. So if you are thinking that B is correct, that would be the case. 2 more than what? 2 more than 3 times a number. Now, mathematically, you would get the same answer for either one. So you might be wondering, like, well, why does it matter? It matters when we're doing subtraction. That's when order really matters. But if you're going to correctly translate this, you are going to go with the order that it's written in. Okay, next slide. On to word problems. So with this, you've got to be able to read, set up an equation, and then solve it. Once you've solved it, you want to go back and say, does my answer make sense? Did I answer the question? Not just find the value of x, okay? You need to make sure you're answering the question. So as a salesperson, you earn $200. We'll start with that. Plus, you get 2/5 of your sales. That's the unknown. Okay, this time I am going to use the variable x. And that is equal to 500. So what dollar amount in sales do you need in order to earn $500 total? In this situation, the person is given $200 as their salary, but then they also make some percentage of the sales depending on how much they're able to sell. And that for the grand total of what their income is. Let's hope this is for a week. If it's $500, you're going to need $500 at least per week. So now we're going to solve our two-step equation. Subtracting 200 from both sides. That cancels out. I now have 2/5 x is equal to 300. Then I want to multiply by reciprocal. Multiply by reciprocal on both sides. The 5's cancel out, the 2's cancel out. Good, I have just x. So I just have to resolve what this 300 times 5/2 is. So you can multiply 300 times 5, so 300 times 5, and then divide by the 2. Or you can cancel the 2 to make it a 1, cancel this to make it 150. Either which way, you will get the answer of 750. Are you done? No, because you didn't answer the question yet. What dollar amount in sales do you need to earn $500? So now we're going to answer it with money sign 750 in sales. Okay, that's a complete problem. A restaurant sold 350 less hot dogs than hamburgers. Altogether, the restaurant sold 700 hot dogs and hamburgers. This part right here, how many of each did they sell? That's what we want to know. So that's what we're going to set our variable up to determine. So we want to know the number of hot dogs, and we want to know the number of hamburgers. Well, we know this part, the total was 700. So the total is going to come over here at the end of the problem. But to make up those 700, we need a number for both hamburgers and hot dogs. I don't know what the number of hamburgers is, but I'm going to use a variable for it. So that's my unknown. Now, how does the number of hot dogs relate to the number of hamburgers? This part right here tells you that information. So 350 less hot dogs. So I take the number of hamburgers and I subtract 350 from it. Now, what was this? What was this 700? That was the total of both things. So I'm going to take the x and I'm going to add it to the x minus 350. Kind of left a little space there. That's probably a little too much space. We'll clean it up a bit. It's equal to 700. So combine your like terms. Add 350 to both sides. To x is equal to 1,050. Divide by 2 on both sides. And what is x? X is equal to, is it 525? Yes, it is, 525. So I'm done. I found a value for x. No, no, no. You need to go back into the problem and determine what they were asking. And they were asking how many of each did they sell. So we know that x is the number of hamburgers. So we can say 525 hamburgers. How do we figure out the number of hot dogs? Well, we can substitute it right back in here to this x minus 350. So I take 525 minus the 350, and I get 175. So 175 hot dogs. So I found the value of x. I reminded myself, what did x stand for? Then I looked at how x related to the other item and substituted it in. Okay. Next type of problem. Alex's garden has a perimeter of 22. I should have put 22 feet. The width is 3 feet less than the length. Find the width and the length. So there's a couple of things I know. I know that this is a length, and this is the length, and this is a width, and this is the width of a rectangle. I know that since it's a rectangular garden, I can use this formula for finding perimeter of rectangles. Perimeter equals 2 lengths and 2 widths. Now that has too many variables in it. I can't solve for all of those all at once. So I've got to put something in terms of the other. And that's where I start to use this information. The width is 3 feet less than the length. So I say the width is, when you have is, you're going to use an equal sign. So width is 3 feet less than the length. Here's the length minus 3. Now I'm going to use this whole thing, and I'm going to put that in place of W. So perimeter, well, they told me in the problem what that is. That's 22 is equal to 2 lengths plus students. This whole thing is going to come in for the W. So I have 2 and then parentheses length minus 3, close parentheses. And you are going to distribute. (22) is equal to 4L minus 6. We add 6, and we add 6, and now we have 28 is equal to 4L. Divide by 4, divide by 4. So L, or length, is equal to 7. But I didn't have to just figure out the length. I have to also figure out the width. So I come back up and say, how were they related? I look at this information right here, and I substitute that value of the 7 in here. So now I have 7 minus 3 is equal to W. So W is equal to 4. So I put those together over here. And really we should say feet. Okay, and that is how you solve that type. Oh, this one's a doozy. But there is one that's very similar to this on the test, so we want to make sure you understand. 2 fitness clubs offer incentives for losing weight. Misspelled weight, sorry. The Burnout Club membership fee is $250 for the year, minus $2 for every pound lost. The Energy Club membership fee is $300 for the year, minus $250 for every pound lost. How much weight do you have to lose for annual membership costs to be the same in both clubs? Now that is the important part, same. Same in both. So that's how these are linked. We want to find out when they are equal to each other. So I take the information from the first club, and that's 250 minus, so you pay 250, but then you get to subtract $2 for every pound. Then over here on this side, I have the Energy Club. It costs $300. There we go, $300, but you get to subtract $250 for every pound. So now I'm just going to go ahead and solve this. Now, when you're solving a word problem, usually the values that you end up with at the end, you want them to be positive. So that's what we're looking at. I'm going to add $2.50 X to both sides. I'm combining my like terms. Now that canceled out. And I have 250 plus, don't forget the 0.50. That's not 50, it's 50 cents. So 0.5 is equal to 300. Subtract 250 from both sides. And I've got 0.50x is equal to 50 divide by 0.50, and I get the value of x is 100. Now we go back to the problem and say, what is that 100 supposed to symbolize? 100 pounds. So 100 pounds. When a person loses 100 pounds, the costs for these two memberships are the same. That's a lot of weight. Good luck to that person. Okay, that's it for today. So hopefully you can check this out if you are having trouble. And hopefully you look at this to study.